Here we have FilterShop's POU caps, which is basically kits to connect a water cooler directly to a water supply. The basic kit, which is just the POU cap itself, only includes these components, and then the kit with the supply connections includes these here as well. Basically, it consists of a few parts. First, you have a float that actually fits inside of the tank of the cooler, which is connected to a lever here, which triggers a valve, which actually fills up the water cooler. This base plate here is adjustable. You have little legs that you connect up to the cooler side, and you have a kit of screws where you actually screw through the hole in these legs to lock them in place. What we find personally is it works really well if you actually glue the ends of these little legs into the cooler. And then you've got a quick connection pipe connective to take the pipe outside. And then you have a cover cap with a hole for the pipe that actually covers the whole thing on top of the cooler. And then an elbow or a straight for the outside connection, just to allow you to quickly and easily connect and disconnect the thing. Then if you're taking the connection with the kit with the supply connections, you get a few meters of pipe with that, and a half-inch connector, which is basically 15mm connector, to tee into a water supply, with then a separate valve to connect onto the quarter-inch pipe to supply the water to the system. Here's how to actually fit one of these POU caps to a water dispenser. The first thing you want to take is your main plate. Just pull the legs out a little bit so it'll fit easily, and then on the lever here at the bottom you want to attach the float. So all you do is you push that in until it pops into place, and then you'll see there's a small hole at the side here, which you take one of the tiny screws, line it up, and just tighten that in there. You want to make sure it goes all the way into the float and locks in place properly there. For now we're just going to do it quickly like this, and then on your actual cooler, the top cap, it may look differently, but normally for any of these caps you basically just twist and then you can lift it out. Then you would, depending on the kind of cooler, see different kinds of tanks under here. This specific one is a thermoelectric one, hence the plastic tank. The compressor coolers normally would have a stainless steel tank with a split for the hot and cold water in here. You want to just make sure that the float is as low as possible, but high enough that it doesn't hit the bottom of the tank. Then you take your base plate and you lower it into place, and try and have a look at the direction the elbow is facing, because you want to have the pipe easily get out the back of the cooler. So in our case I think we're going to twist it a little bit like that, and there's nice little gaps in here where the top cap fitted in, which we can actually use to secure the legs here, and then we simply push them out till it's a fairly sturdy thing. Now the reason why we say we normally prefer to glue them, this does work, but the actual cap will lift up a few millimeters before it's being stopped by the top of these gaps. So if they're glued in place, it's just easier for the float to get enough pressure on the lever here to actually shut off the valve. And then again, once you're quite comfortable with the places you've braced the leg, there's little holes in the actual legs here, and you take it's a self-tapping screw or a tiny screwdriver, and you simply let the screw tap into the plastic beneath it and lock the legs into place. Then your next step is you want to actually get a little bit of pipe to be attached to this elbow here to be able to get outside. So what we do, we take our quarter-inch hose and we literally just cut a short length of the hose, and on the quick clip here you remove the little blue ring, which is just to lock it in place. Place the one side of the pipe into the fitting, replace the little blue ring, and then your top cap, you line up the hole in the top cap here with the pipe we've cut, so it goes through to the outside, and then place the cap over the top, and then it's just got a little stainless steel bolt here which is used to connect it to the bottom cap. And now the actual cooler side of the POU cap is done. Then the next step is you simply connect your quick connection elbow to the pipe running out of here, and then you connect up to your pipe leading to your water supply, and on your water supply side you connect up to a supply fitting. The supply fitting, you just need to make sure that you either have a rubber seal to seal it at the ends here, or use thread sealing tape. On the actual valve itself, the connection between the valve and this T-piece, you will require some thread sealing tape between this connection here to ensure that you don't get any leaks. And on the valve side here, you simply slide this nut over the pipe, push the pipe over this ridge, and tighten the nut back in place. And then you have your water supply connected, and you can open it up and check if you have any leaks, and just make sure that the float is actually turning off. Next, there's two things to consider. One, the maintenance, and two, the actual quality of the water that you'll be drinking. Now, on the maintenance side, if you simply have the cooler connected up directly to the municipal supply, you will have to disassemble the whole thing quite frequently to actually open up the tank and clean everything out inside, as you do get quite a bit of dirt buildup and sometimes bacteria buildup inside. If you're only really looking for cold or hot water, the setup does work. Just keep in mind about once a month you'll have to open it up and clean it. Therefore, we always recommend hooking up some kind of a filter system with one of these units. We specifically use the same pipe as the fridges use and as we use on our under-counter units. So in theory you can hook up any of the fridge filters or any of the under-counter units to the system. The two we have here today are the two most popular options. If you're looking for something compact and simple, this triple pack fridge filter setup basically has a sediment filter, a carbon filter, and an ultrafiltration membrane, which together removes dirt, chlorine, smells and tastes, and actually has a physical barrier to block bacteria. The unit is a little bit more expensive in terms of running costs, because you basically replace all the filters and their housings each time you replace it. Typical lifespan would be 6 months to a year on that, but it is a very, very easy setup for maintenance, because you simply cut the pipe, connect your incoming side to the sediment filter, and connect your side going to the cooler to the ultrafiltration membrane, and it is a few minutes and you've got a filter system connected. The slightly cheaper system to run, but a slightly larger thing to install, would be the triple fridge filter system. This is basically our triple under-counter unit without the supply connection, which you already have with the kit, and a tap, because you're using the cooler to dispense your water. And the nice thing with this triple under-counter system, you're not replacing the whole unit, you're only replacing the individual filter cartridges, and it's basically the same process. It's a sediment filter, just instead of carbon we have a KDF filter, which lasts a little bit longer and has a bit more of a resistance to bacteria growth on the filter, and then we use a 0.2 micron filter as a barrier for bacteria here. Overall, reduces your maintenance cost a little bit on the system, but it is a larger unit, and you need to make sure that you have some space to accommodate this actual unit in the setup. As we said, you can really use any of the other under-counter systems. We do supply T-pieces if you have an existing under-counter system that you simply want to hook up one of these units to supply cold and hot water from the existing unit. But it's highly recommended to use a filter system on this, because it dramatically reduces your actual time in maintenance from having to clean the unit, as it changes it from once a month to once every few years. You need to actually open it up and clean it. And then you have the comfort of knowing that you are drinking safe drinking water from your new setup here with the dispenser. There's two very important things to keep in mind when looking to set up a unit like this. The first thing is the float system in the unit can be overwhelmed by high pressure. If you have quite high pressure where you're looking to set up the unit, we strongly recommend ordering one of our adjustable pressure valves, as that's something you can fit in line, and then you can adjust your pressure down to a much lower pressure, and that will just make it a lot less likely that you get any leaks from the system. The second thing to consider is hardness, especially if you're looking to use the hot water tank on one of these units. The hot water tank is basically like a miniature geyser, and the elements are very susceptible to hardness buildup on the elements, like you would get with a hard water on the geysers as well. The only big downside is if you have a hot water tank blow up or crack on one of these units, it's typically in an area where you really don't want the water to be running out, like on top of a kitchen counter or in the middle of an office. So if you have got hard water in place, we really strongly recommend hooking it up to either a reverse osmosis or a nanofiltration system that will actually remove that hardness before you get into the unit.